Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. After our adventures after our game of Momentum Football last night, where Conference Championship Saturday is all set, we're going to take a break from football for tonight as we play a game that we haven't played for a while. We're going to play Call to Adventure from Brotherwise Games. This is about pulling up a story for a fictional hero. And actually, in this case, it's kind of important because I'm starting to work on some more tabletop RPGs on the channel. In fact, I'm going to be rolling up a character for one of my RPGs tonight. So I've actually been starting to look into some more of these tabletop RPGs. I've got some solo systems that I'm going to try out with them. But the character that we're rolling for is actually in the Dragon Age tabletop RPG. And we're going to be rolling up a backstory for that character. So we're going to be rolling up a backstory for Adana Brightmare, a circle mage, an elven circle mage in the Dragon Age universe. And the way we're going to do that from Call to Adventure is we're eventually going to use it as kind of a journaling style kind of thing, where we're going to use all the cards that we get in the story as story prompts, and we'll generate the backstory from those. It'll probably make more sense at the end of the game. And I'll be keeping notes in a Word document that I've got set up on my laptop, where I'll work everything for the game into that backstory. First thing we need to do, though, is we need to pick our origin, motivation, and our destiny. So origin, motivation, destiny. We're dealt with two of these, and we pick one. So we are looking for a mage, but I'll also go through the challenge that we're going to be taking on. So our first possible origin is a beggar. Whenever you fail, I believe that's a charisma or a constitution challenge, right? Dexterity or charisma. You gain an extra 2 experience. Or our other choice there, or other choice for an origin, is a noble. When you fail a strength or it's strength and constitution. Whenever you gain an ally, or that's a justice card, I believe. I know there's a reference for them, for what they actually are. I'm trying to find where it is. Of course, it does not want to unearth itself. Where is it? I could have sworn it was in the game. I could have sworn it was in here somewhere. Of course it's not. But the main thing we can use those set icons for... is as victory points at the end of the game. So I think it makes more sense for this character to be a beggar. So I think that's what we're going to go with. So origin here is a beggar. And for her motivation, once again we have 2 of those and we pick one. So our first motivation, trained by a master. Once per turn, you may spend an experience to gain plus a strength rune until the end of the turn. Or our other choice is a natural leader. Once per turn, you may spend an experience to gain a charisma rune until the end of the turn. Actually, that's a charisma rune. I think, even though it's not really suited to the character I'm going for, we're going to go with trained by a master, because I think that fits a lot better into the kind of story I'm looking to tell with this character. And then as far as our destiny, so motivation, trained by a master. And a destiny. Once again, we have 2 choices for destiny, and we can pick one of these. First up, Cunning Villain. At the end of the game, gain 5 tragedy points if you have Strength, Dexterity, Arcane, and 1 for each villainy you have in your story. And as we can see, we probably aren't going to want that. Or Paragon of Light with a divinity icon. At the end of the game, gain 3 triumph if you have a light or more for your alignment, and 1 for each triumph icon in your story. I think we're going to go with... I think we're going to go with Paragon of Light, because it feels like dropping into Destiny could be a bad thing here. Hey Doug, how's it going? We're going to play something very different on the channel tonight. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and meet our adversary tonight. So we are taking on the High Priest, and we'll want, I believe that's Constitution? Yes, we'll want Constitution or Wisdom runes for that. We can get Villainy, 6 Tragedy, and a Wisdom on that. Thing to note, if a hero has 2 Corruption, or 2 Dark, or more alignment, this challenge has +1 difficulty versus that hero. And as far as the High Priest's Inquisition goes, other Villainy challenges have +1 difficulty. If any hero has 3 Darkness at the end of the game, the adversary gains 2 experience. If any hero has 3 Divinity at the end of the game, the adversary loses 2 experience. And then special notes for Rise of the Adversary. When you fail a challenge, the adversary gains an experience. When your result includes the hero or anti-hero card, the adversary plays one of its anti-hero cards. And if any player ends the game with less than 30 Destiny, the adversary gains 2 experience. So actually I'm going to work that into my character's backstory as well. So I'll make a note in my Word document. Destiny, we decided. Paragon of Light. And adversary, High Priest, under the High Priest's Inquisition. That seems like it's going to be really easy to kind of fit into a backstory. So, now we need to reveal Act 1. So our first challenge for Act 1, and I need to refresh my memory. Allies are going to get attached to a challenge, whereas traits can stay out, and there are things we can just take. So the story decks, we've got 4 cards laid out. Okay. An easy reach, yada yada yada. Or do allies get shuffled back in? Allies might just get shuffled back in now that I look at it. Turn the Act 1 cards face up. No, I think allies do get attached. So our first card up for Act 1 is Prepare for War. We can use Strength and Arcane runes for that. We can either plan the city's defenses to get a royalty and an arcane rune, or build fortifications to get a hero card and a strength rune. And I forgot to mention the level that takes. So that was a 4 difficulty adventure. That'll make more sense when we see our first adventure. Next up is a mentor. This is a +1 ally. You may spend an experience or sacrifice this ally to gain +a wisdom rune until the end of the turn. We'll leave that out for now, but that's going to get attached to one of our adventures. Next up, Dangerous Artifact. We use Constitution and Arcane runes. We can either harness Dark Power to gain an anti-hero card and an Arcane rune, or Resist Temptation to gain Divinity and a Constitution rune. Unfortunately, we don't have any Constitution runes built into our story right now. And the last card is a Foundling, which would give us a hero card and 3 triumph. When you gain this card, gain a light alignment. We'll put the mentor on the Prepare for War. And then looking at the next card coming out is Call to Arms. Strength and I believe that was Constitution. We can either enlist in the King's Army for 1 triumph and a strength rune, or defend your homestead for a justice and a constitution. So none of these are particularly great. We also have a hero card. So the way I'm going to denote the cards I've got, anything that's in my hand is going to be to the left of my character tableau. Anything to the right is going to be what I've played. So our hero card is Unlikely Alliance. Choose another hero to gain light. You can add their runes to the next challenge you attempt this turn. Joy. Okay, none of these are particularly great. They're all 4s? Gross. So I'd have to dip into Corruption, which I can spend up to 3 experience to gain 3 dark runes on a challenge. So I can on my turn, I can either take a trait, which Foundling is pretty tempting for that, or I can attempt a challenge. But the problem is, right now the runes I've got are absolute garbage for this. So I think I am going to start by taking the Foundling trait, which I can very easily work into my backstory. So let's see. Foundling trait. So maybe I'm going to also make some notes on what I'm thinking of for my backstory. So given that I've got a beggar origin, let's actually put the Foundling on the tableau. So that'll give me a hero card and 3 triumph points. Given that I'm a Foundling, given that I'm a beggar on my origin of my story, let's reveal the hero card I've got. Glorious Victory. If you overcame a challenge this turn using dark runes, and the result exceeds the difficulty by at least 2, gain 3 experience. Then we'll flip the next card over. We'll find Brave. You may only gain this if you have a strength rune or spend an experience. Yikes. These are not great at all. We need Constitution and Wisdom runes, but we've got exactly none of those out right now. But what I was saying about the backstory potential with the Foundling trait, maybe as a Foundling, maybe Adana was abandoned by her parents. Adana is a female character, by the way. Maybe Adana was abandoned by her parents and was floated down the river to be taken in. So let me make a note of that. Okay. So that's a thought I can start with. What do I want to do here? Do I want to try for... I think we're going to go for... I'm going to grab a... I'll use my lens cap, actually, to mark if I'm going for an adventure. So I'm going to mark that we are going to try to enlist in the king's army and defend her... A call to arms. Actually, we're going to go for call to arms and defend your homestead. So let's go... So I'm going to go back to my notes here. Challenge attempt. Call to arms. Defend your homestead. So maybe from this Adana grew up and and when the Inquisition started, maybe tried to defend the village from the troops initially. So okay. We'll spend an experience as well. We'll spend 2 experience. I'll explain a little bit more about what I'm doing, but I'll give her a strength rune thanks to trained by a master, and the other experience is going to go for a dark rune. All right. So now that I've got that all set up, let me explain a little bit more about how these challenges work, because it's actually very unique in reading the runes. So on every challenge, you get a certain number of runes. You get the 3 basic runes. Two of them are the very basic, where you've got this face that indicates a success, or this one that indicates no success. And then you've got this one, which gives you 1 success, and then this one that gives you 0, which also draws you either a hero or an anti-hero card. It also plays as an anti-hero card from the adversary per the rules of the challenge. The strength rune that we took earlier also gives us gives us 1 success, and that'll give us a success as well. So either side is... Actually, the plain side on the strength rune is 1 success, the sword is 2. The dark runes are a little bit different, where this is 1 success, this is 2, but you also advance down your corruption track further. So that's down this track. Right now we're at medium in terms of our light alignment this turn. So now we'll read the rune. So now we'll basically think of reading the runes is what we're doing next. But think of this almost as like rolling the dice, where we're going to cast these runes and then count up the number of successes that we have for the result. So we were willing to pay any price for this one. So let's see what our result is here. Okay, so we do have 5 successes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes, but we do advance down the corruption track. But we will survive, we will actually pass the challenge. And since we were going for Defend Your Homestead, we'll tuck it under our character with this part showing, where we'll end up with a Justice, and we'll get an extra Constitution rune that we can use in future challenges. So we'll tuck that under our tableau there, and that is a success. So that'll be succeeded, dipped into corruption. Okay, that wasn't a villainy challenge, so that doesn't happen. Okay. All right, and then the next card coming out for the challenges is another ally, Cruel Master. You may sacrifice this ally to gain an alignment, so that's got to go over a dangerous artifact. Then coming over top of that, we will find Survive the Flames, a Raging Inferno. So we can that's a 3 difficulty. We can either try to survive the flames or heal the wounded at +1 difficulty, which would make it a 4, but in that case we would get a wisdom rune out of it. So we have 3, we end an act when we pick up 3 challenges for our story. So I think here we're going to go into the Raging Inferno and try to survive the flames. So I think what this will do in our backstory... Right, Raging Inferno, try to survive the flames. Okay, so Raging Inferno. Maybe, so as part of what the backstory is going to be doing, so I'll mark that. So we're going to try to survive the flames. That's what the lens cap is for, just in case you get confused on that. So I think what the backstory implication is going to be here is the Inquisition was so enraged at it being pushed back by a ragtag band of villagers that they set the village to the torch. So enraged by success, put village to torch. And this is Adana trying to save the family that took her in, essentially. All right, so for this challenge, we get our 3 base runes, and we get a Constitution rune, which functions exactly the same way as the Strength rune did earlier. This will be a 1, and that will be a 2. So our odds of success here are not great, but I will probably spend some time journeying some of these off. But let's see what we can do with reading the runes. We only need 3 to pass this challenge. Which we get there. We get 4. So so we succeed, which probably means we save the villagers that we were trying to get out. And it's to save her family, but I would suspect everyone else is probably dead from that. And in the solo game, we still end at 3, right? Has gained 8 story cards, so it looks like 3, 3, and then 2. Right? Yes. So 3 on Act 1, 3 on Act 2, 2 on Act 3. But we did survive the flames, which goes on to our story like so. And then Act 1 all goes away because we're done with that at this point. So I can return Act 1 to the box. Or just get it out of my way, essentially. So now, after we've managed to survive the flames, we managed to discover, we traveled, set up a new settlement, and maybe happened upon a master mage, which brings in our trained by a master. Hey Jester, we're playing Call to Adventure tonight. You may have missed the intro, but I'm working on building a character backstory for one of my tabletop RPGs that I'm looking at exploring next month. So now we're into Act 2. And I'm piecing a little bit of the story as I go through these adventures. And actually, our result was 3 and we had 4, so never mind. I don't get to play Glorious Victory on that one. So our first card for Act 2 is a Corrupt Official, which uses Strength and Charisma runes. We can either pay a bribe or try to resist arrest. Next up, Murder Mystery, which uses Arcane and Wisdom runes. We can either solve the aforementioned mystery at a 5 difficulty or conceal your crime at a +1, but I do not want to be going for the villainy because remember, with the High Priest Inquisition, all villainy challenges have +1 difficulty on them, and that seems like a terrible thing to try for. Next card up is Guard Duty, using Wisdom and Dexterity runes. We can either watch over the city or try to catch a criminal at +1 difficulty. Normally it would be a 4 difficulty. And our last card up is Inventive. You may only gain this if you have Arcane and Dexterity or spend 2 experience. Wow, these are absolutely terrible. So I'm probably going to ignore... I'm not necessarily interested in the win condition on the High Priest Inquisition. I'm more interested in getting a backstory going here. So I'm going to spend my experience. I want to journey something that looks absolutely ridiculous. I do have a Dexterity. Actually, I have Dexterity, Charisma, and 2 Constitution right now, which is not a great configuration. Let's journey off. Actually, I'm going to put those to the side so I have room for cards to be journeyed off. Let's journey off the Corrupt Official. That's not going to be part of our backstory, and coming out to replace that will be a Princess. At the end of the game, if an adversary is undefeated, sacrifice this ally. We'll put that on solving a mystery, since I don't think we're doing that. Well, yeah, let's put it over solve a mystery. So that makes every challenge on that card a +1 difficulty. Next card coming out is Criminal. You may only gain this if you have a villainy or spend an experience. Oh, delightful. Well, that kind of didn't work out for me. Let's try our hand at watching over the city. I've got to try something here. And I don't have the experience to gain criminal. So we're going to go for guard duty, and we're going to try to watch over the city. So we'll bring the runes back in shot. I get my 3 core, and I get a dexterity rune. Which, once again, 1 success, 2, plus our core runes. So let's see what we're able to do with watching over the city. I also want to start trying to get some wisdom runes into my story, because I'm going to need those when I take on the High Priest. And actually, let's make sure we get notes in the prompt. So this is Act 2 now. Challenge attempt. This is guard duty, and we're trying to watch over the city. So this is probably... I'm not casting the runes yet. I'm just putting these down so I can make some brainstorming notes. Let's see. So what would I want to do with this? Probably... So this is probably after our hometown was torched, and we're guarding over our new city after... We basically moved in... We're getting trained, so now we're watching over the city. Alright, I think we can go with that. You were going to play this the other night, but trying to get to 100 new games, so this got put on the back burner. Well, you should make 100 pretty quick on that at that rate. Trying to keep the runes in here. Let's see what I can do with this challenge. That one's cocked, but it's not going to matter. Actually, let me just re-roll them all, since I ended up with 1 cocked. Alright, that's 2, but we do have to deal with playing a hero card. With playing an anti-hero card. So we will draw a hero card. Here we will draw. Deny the darkness. Either gain 2 light or choose another hero to gain 1. And then we have to play a card from the adversary's deck we will find. Number 99 tonight will be a mini rogue from Board Game Arena. Nice. Or will be... I guess mini rogue is probably the actual name of the game. Cool. Card from here. Sabotage. Play this after a hero has attempted a challenge. They must attempt it again. Okay. So we get another shot at guarding over the city. Let's see what happens in this one. There we go. So, thank you, adversary, for the sabotage. Watching over the city was a success. So maybe from that, the forces of the Inquisition were following us looking for our new city, but we managed to drive them off again. I could probably work with that. Let's see, so success. Inquisition followed us. Managed to drive them off. Okay, next card coming out for Act 2. Rags to Riches. If you lost, it gives you a hero card and 2 triumph. If you lost a challenge this turn, you may spend an experience to gain this. Oh, great. So now I have to try for the Solve a Murder mystery. But first I'm going to play Deny the Darkness to gain 2 light on my alignment. Yeah, I think our only challenge out here right now is Solve a Mystery. And we're going to go for... We're going to go for Murder Mystery, and we're going to try to solve a mystery. This is not going to be great at all. So this is probably... Well, it seems pretty self-explanatory. Maybe somebody close to us has been killed. Someone in city murdered, and we're asked to investigate. Result. We do get a wisdom rune for this, not that that's going to help us very much. We'd have to roll... Basically, all three of our basic runes would have to be successes, and then we'd have to flip over... We'd have to land on the on the wisdom symbol to get this to be a success. Which I don't like my odds of that at all. But let's see what we can do here. It's actually... No, never mind. We can't even do that at all. Because the princess is on there, which is going to make it a 6 difficulty. So even with everything flipped over, we literally can't pass this. So I guess we're just reading the runes to see if the adversary gains an experience, or see if it plays an adversary card. That's the word I was searching for. Which once again we've got a cocked one there, so I'll just reread them all. Just recast them all. Okay, it does not. So we gain an experience as a consolation prize, as does the high priest. And then we'll flip this, and then we'll move this over to the discard pile. So it looks like actually it had the princess attached to it too. So maybe the princess was the one who ended up murdered, and we had to investigate that. So princess in city murdered. Asked to investigate. Result, failed. Maybe this was the Inquisition. Maybe this was the Inquisition trying to send a message. That could make sense. And then the next card coming out for Act 2... Naval Battle, which is a 5 difficulty using Strength and Arcane runes. We can either lead a boarding party or try to sink the enemy ship, which is a +1 difficulty and would give 3 tragedy and an arcane. If we lost a challenge this turn, we can spend an experience to gain rags to riches, which... Do I want to do that? Or do I think I need the experience to journey? I think I need the experience to journey. So instead we're going to spend the experience to journey inventive away. And then our card to replace inventive. Pressed into service, or captured. Uses strength and constitution runes. We can either be pressed into service for 2 tragedy and a constitution, or we break out of captivity at a +1 difficulty to gain 3 triumph and a strength rune. And while I think about that, I'm going to take a quick drink of my crystal light to see what I want to try here. I think we're going to go for... captured, and we're going to go for pressed into service. So I think what we'll go for here is coming in the aftermath of maybe the murder investigation that we were in failed because we ended up getting captured and spirited away in service of the Inquisition. So let's go challenge attempt. I'm going to note that in my Act 2. Okay, there we go. So challenge attempt this time is captured, pressed into service. So we've been abducted by at this point we've probably been abducted by the Inquisition. Pressed into service of the High Priest. Like we're a... My first thought was going to be concubine, but no way do I want to run with that idea. Maybe Adana's pressed into service as like a servant girl, bringing him drinks and stuff like that. So you guys can also chip in with ideas you might be thinking of, any ideas that come to you with the challenges I'm attempting. Because, like I said, the goal of this playthrough of Call to Adventure is to build up a backstory for my Elven Circle Mage for the Dragon Age tabletop RPG. So for this one, we bring that back in shot, and we get 2 Constitution runes because that's what we've got in our backstory. That's what we've got in our story. And then maybe pressed into... Well, let's see what happens with the result here. Maybe pressed into service means we eventually escape. Actually, no, that wouldn't make sense. Well, let's see what happens with the roll, with the reading the runes, and then I'll fit the backstory to it from there. Wow. That's 2. That's a result of 2, and the hero and the adversary gets to play a card. So we'll draw our hero card first. We can only draw hero cards right now because of our alignment, so we will find Narrow Escape. Play this before you attempt a challenge. Add an extra dexterity or constitution rune to your attempt. And then playing from the adversary deck we find Sabotage. Play this after another hero has attempted a challenge. They must attempt it again. In this case, that's us attempting it. So once again, thank you. I wonder if I can press Sabotage into this story as well. I think Sabotage let us pass Watch Over the City. But I know Sabotage is the result. Sabotage. So we get to essentially try this again. Do I want to play Narrow Escape to give me an extra Constitution rune? Yes, let's play Narrow Escape because I can work that into the story. So, High Priest used Sabotage. We used Narrow Escape, which gives us our 3rd Constitution rune. This one is a little bit different, where if we roll that side, we don't get to add anything to our roll, but we do get an experience token. So our difficulty, once again, on this one is a 5. So let's see what we roll here. Wow. Okay, we definitely got out of that one. So that roll is a... Hold on. So that's a 0 and... Right, that's a 0 or gain an experience token. Yeah, okay. So we get an experience token, so that 0's done. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we definitely get out of pressed into service. So that one's clear. Which will give us another Constitution rune and 2 Tragedy. But more importantly, it will also let me play Glorious Victory. Since I overcame a challenge this turn without using Dark Runes, and the result exceeded the difficulty by at least 2, I get 3 experience. I needed that badly, because I've had terrible luck with challenges tonight. Okay, so we succeeded on that one. Succeeded. And because of the tragedy points... Because of the tragedy points, maybe we had to kill somebody. Maybe Adana had to kill somebody to escape. She's got to discover some kind of magical powers in here somewhere, because despite the Despite the makeup of her character, she actually is supposed to be a mage when this is all done. So she's got to discover magical abilities in here somewhere. So succeeded. Had to kill to escape. We'll bring that out of the way, and now we get the Constitution rune for real on challenges that actually use that. And next up for Act 2 we find Perilous Dungeon. Using Dexterity and Constitution runes, we can either delve into darkness for another tragedy point and gain a Constitution rune, or escape with treasure, which gives us an anti-hero card and a dexterity. But given that we can't play anti-hero cards anyway because of our alignment right now, I'm going to spend an experience to journey that one away. So we'll journey off, delve into darkness, and here we will find... I'd like to find more wisdom, because that's what I'm going to need to take on the High Priest. Inspiring. You may only gain this if you have wisdom or charisma. Actually, wisdom and charisma, I believe that is. Or spend 2 experience. Which in our journey... Well, we do have wisdom and charisma, so we can gain inspiring. So maybe in this case... So yeah, we will gain... So trait gain is going to be inspiring. So we will get that. That'll give us a divinity. And we get a hero card. So coming out of that we get... Dazzling Wit. Play this before you attempt a challenge. Add an extra charisma or arcane rune to your attempt. So Act 2 is all done, which means I can move those back toward the box. Anyway, the inspiring trait, maybe our new, maybe the masses within the Inquisition are watching us resist, are watching Adana resist aggressively, and it's inspiring them to raise up. That could be an idea. Let's see what Act 3 gives me. So these are the first challenges coming out. So, first challenge for Act 3 is Rogue Elemental, Constitution, Arcane. We can either extinguish the fire for a Nature, 2 Triumph, and an Arcane, or Harness Living Flame for an anti-hero card and 3 Tragedy. Next option up is a Wisdom and his Stripped of Horrors with a Dexterity and Wisdom. We can either disarm deadly traps for 3 Triumph and a Dexterity, or try to destroy the Demi-Lich at a +1 difficulty for 4 Triumph and a Wisdom rune, which we need those for our backstory, for the challenge of the High Priest. Next up, Demon Horde, to try to either, using Strength and Wisdom, either trying to drive back a demon army for 4 Triumph and a Wisdom, or wield the Sun's Light for a Divinity, 3 Triumph, and a Strength. Last card up. Force of Nature for 7, with a difficulty of 7, using Wisdom and Charisma runes. We can either enslave the Forest Spirit for 4 Tragedy and a Charisma, or restore the balance at +1 difficulty for a Nature and 5 Triumph. Let's see. Actually, let me check, because I had 2 challenges I failed in there. I forgot about my special ability of being a beggar. Let's see, I failed in... Oh no, it looks like I only had the one I failed, which was the murder mystery in Act 2. So the murder mystery... So we tried to solve a mystery, which actually, never mind. That was a wisdom challenge, so never mind. Don't get anything from that. And I don't think we had any other... Nope. Okay, so what do we want to do with Adana first? None of these are honestly that great. And we're not doing, well, like I said when I started this game, I'm not that broken up about trying to get the win out of this one. So let's go for... Let's actually journey off the... Let's journey to enslave the forest spirit away. I want to try to find more wisdom runes, and I need them to be on the story, on the part of the story that I gain. So our next option here is the Tyrant. Yikes, taking dexterity and charisma, which would give me justice, 6 triumph, and a dexterity rune. While this challenge is undefeated, any hero who takes a dark path gains a corruption. Well, we do have 2 charisma runes, so we do have 2 charisma and a dexterity, so it's not that crazy that we could try to go after the Tyrant. I still want more wisdom, though. But I think for now, we are going to try going after the Tyrant, so maybe in going after the Tyrant, we're so enraged by that we do anything we can, that we're willing to do anything we can to try to stop him. So bringing that back into shot, we get 2 charisma runes. Make sure I give the right 2. A dexterity. I will play Dazzling Wit to give me an extra charisma rune. And do I want to dip into corruption on that? That's probably plenty. So I'll make a note here on the Tyrant. No. So maybe the Tyrant is coming out to try to put our resistance down. Which I'll probably try to work that into the backstory as well. But let's see what happens with this challenge. I need 8 to succeed on this one. Yeah, I got everything I can get from this. I think we pulled that off? Let's see. Yeah, I think we just barely pulled it off. So, actually, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So, yeah, we have managed to defeat the Tyrant. So he's gone, and what that probably means is, so Tyrant defeated, which probably means now he's about to reveal the, so success, Tyrant defeated, more people start to rise up. Tyrant gives up the High Priest. Tyrant reveals the High Priest went rogue. And then the next challenge coming out for that, I still want to try to get 1 more wisdom rune before I go after the High Priest. Next card up is Army of the Dead. Apparently, ask and ye shall receive. Using Constitution and Wisdom, so we can either pray for deliverance to get a hero card, 3 triumph, and a Wisdom, or survive the Horde. For a Nature, 3 triumph, and a Constitution. Gee, I wonder what I'm going for. This couldn't have come up at a much better time. We are going to pray for deliverance. The challenge attempt is Army of the Dead. Pray for deliverance. So this could be all the dead that the High Priest has left in the wake of So this could be, yeah, this could be all of the dead the High Priest has left in his wake. Left in the wake of his Inquisition. Coming for revenge. And we pray, we basically stand alone. So, well, maybe we don't stand alone, but our ragtag band, ragtag militia, stands against it. Result. Okay, so I can get those runes out. And the charisma. On that challenge, I get all 3 Constitution runes, which are these guys, and I get 1 Wisdom. Make sure we take the right one. Do I want... Now the question is, do I want a Dark Rune? And I think the answer to that is going to be... Yes, I will take a... Nah, actually, no. I'm not going to take a Dark Rune because I don't want to risk my victory points on the Paragon of Light right now. So, yeah. We need 7 to clear this, though, which might end up being a big ask, but we'll find out. So here comes our reading of the rune on this challenge. Okay, so as of now we have succeeded at the challenge, but we'll draw a hero card first, so we will draw Dazzling Wit again, we saw this earlier, and then the adversary will play an adversary card. Dark Lord's Champion. Play this after another hero has attempted a challenge. They must attempt it again, and it now has +1 difficulty. Oh joy. So Dark Lord's Champion, which hopefully is not going to make us fail this one. Which now means it's an 8 to try to clear that. So probably at the head of the army, at the head of that army of the dead is the Dark Lord's Champion, rising to try to put us down for good. But let's see what our read of the runes is this time. Still, I was going to say, maybe it's still enough to clear it, but I don't think so now that I look at it. 7, and that's a 0 and 1 experience, so no, actually we don't clear that. If I would have spent a Dark Rune for a Corruption, I would have cleared it, but nothing happening there. So we do fail that. The Dark Lord's Champion probably ended up being too much for us. And then we're coming out to replace that. That would have been a great card to get heading into the final battle. And it would have worked into the story very easily. We've got a Heroic Rescue. Either using Charisma and Dexterity. Either Call for Mercy, which gives a hero card 2 Triumph and a Charisma, or Save the Innocent at +1 difficulty. Justice, 3 Triumph, and a Dexterity rune. Losing that army of the dead really hurt. Well, the Dark Lord doesn't want me winning. You're not wrong on that, Jester, but I'm also, like I mentioned at the start of the video, I'm also not that interested in the win in this game. I'm more interested in putting my character's backstory together so I can get a backstory together and work that into my eventual sessions of Dragon Age RPG. So we're going to spend the experience, and I'm going to journey away. Let's journey away the Crypt of Horrors. And we'll see what comes out here. Cursed. You may only gain this if you have more tragedy in your story than triumph, which we very much do not after defeating the Tyrant earlier in the game. Yeah, losing that army of the dead was very unfortunate. Do I have role player? I do have role player, and I've got all the expansions for that, which I'm getting a little bit spoilerific, but I do have a plan in mind of putting that on the along with role player along with another session of Call to Adventure on the channel in November, because I've also got Dungeons and Dragons that I'm going to try solo, but I need to roll up a character for that. So I'll use role player to build it, to roll the stats, and then this to roll the backstory. We'll spend an experience to journey Cursed Off, and we'll find Dark Colossus for 7. Either climb the Colossus for a Nature, 3 Triumph, and a Constitution, or try to bring down the giant at +1 difficulty for 5 Triumph and a Strength rune. So, at this point, maybe we're feeling a little bit demoralized from the... failure of the Dark Army, and we're maybe feeling a little bit reckless. So I think we're going to try... I definitely don't want to try wielding the Sun's Light on Demon Horde, because I don't see that having a good ending for us. Let's go ahead and... Maybe in the wake of the failure of the Dark Army, the Inquisition sends a rogue elemental after us. That could work. So we don't get the Wisdom rune. We'll try to extinguish the fire from the rogue elemental. We get our basic runes and all 3 of our Constitution runes. So that'll be Challenge Attempt. Rogue Elemental. Extinguish the fire. Okay, then we need a 6 on this one. So let's read these runes and see what happens here. Let's see, that should be plenty to clear that, and yes it is, that's a 7 to clear that. So we succeed, and we manage to extinguish the fire. So the army of the dead essentially started setting fires indiscriminately. So the army of the dead set fires indiscriminately, awakening a rogue elemental, managed to extinguish the fire. And now once I get that into our story, it's time for us to go after the High Priest. So after everything in the story that we've gone through, the High Priest has finally decided to rear his ugly head and come after us. So he's an 8. We get all 3 of our basic runes, all 3 of our Constitution runes, and our 1 Wisdom rune. So after everything... Right, do we only get 1 attempt on him? Okay. It was not discarded if you fail to defeat it. Okay. So now... Now I'm trying to decide if I want to spend an experience for a dark rune on this one, and I think for now the answer is going to be no. I'm not going to spend an experience just yet. So let's see if we can defeat the High Priest at an 8 difficulty. Interesting that he's worth tragedy points on this in this as well. So I can probably work that in to the story. Alright, so let's read the runes and see what happens. Let's see, that is actually it on the first try. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. That is enough to defeat the High Priest. Defeat the High Priest. Maybe it was a friend. Well, the tragedy part is a little bit confusing. But maybe... Maybe he was a friend, or maybe like a long-lost brother or something that we grew up with. Because remember, in this backstory, we were abandoned as a young child. So maybe that's how I work it in. Maybe this was like a favored brother or something. I'm trying to figure out some way to explain the tragedy points there and try to make it work in the backstory. So that actually will do it for this playthrough of Call to Adventure, but we are far from done yet because A, I need to tabulate my points to see if I win, and B, we're actually going to compose the backstory using all the story prompts that we got. Excuse me. So checking on the High Priest. We'll see if we end the game with 30 or less destiny. So on triumph points we have 3, 5, 11. Tragedy we had 8. Experience we ended up with 2 left. Hero cards we played 4. No anti-hero cards. Story icons, I don't think we finished any sets of those. I believe sets of 2 are worth 2 points. So we had 2. Actually, we get 3 more triumph if we have light or more, and we do. So we get another 3 points up there, so that's 14. 1 for each instance of triumph in my story. 1, 2, 3. So that's another 3, which brings us up to 17. And then story icons. We had 2 divinity, 2 justice, it looks like. So that gives us a total of 4 points. Total for that is 25, and 10 is 35. So the adversary does not gain 2 experience in either the 30 destiny or the 3 corruption. Unfortunately, we didn't get 3 divinity at the end, so the adversary didn't lose 2 experience, but he only had 2 experience, so that's enough for us to win the game. So that's it for the win, but now I also want to write the backstory. So I'm going to put the stream into Be Right Back, but I will be around to interact with chat while I'm writing this backstory. So, once again, I will be right back to start writing the backstory. Again, I apologize for being a little bit quiet, but like I said, I'm working on the backstory here. Okay, so I think we've got something put together here. But that's not the screen I want. This is the screen we want. So I'll pull up my backstory notes. And once I get off my knees here. Alright, we'll go ahead and read Adana Brightmare's backstory. Adana Brightmare was a young elf when she was abandoned by her parents and taken in by a distant village down the river Time. As she grew up, she was grateful for the family that took her in, and when the High Priest's Inquisition came to her new hometown, she took up arms to defend her new home. She was willing to pay any price, and succeeded in driving them off, but she felt it bite into her soul slightly. As revenge, when she managed to help drive them off, the Inquisition set her adopted home to the torch. Braving the inferno, she managed to get her family out, but most of the villagers were exterminated in the blaze. Her family made their way to a distant city, but the Inquisition followed them there. Adana discovered this fact one night on guard duty when she also found a princess had been murdered. Since she had been there, she had been charged to investigate the murder, but this was a trap, as Adana was later captured and pressed into service as an errand girl for the High Priest. Something about him looked familiar, but she was too focused on escape to worry about that familiarity. She managed to get away, having to kill a fellow servant to escape, but escape she did. Her escape started to inspire the masses of the Inquisition to rise up against the High Priest. Taking notice of the masses rising up, the tyrant who had been leading the Inquisition came in to try to stop Adana. Using her speed and some newly discovered magic powers, Adana managed to evade and defeat the tyrant. In his dying breath, the tyrant revealed that the High Priest was her long-lost brother and that he had been driven mad to find his long-lost sister and destroy her. Shocked by this news, Adana returns to another new home city only to find an army of the dead waiting for her. With one of her brother's most powerful champions at the head of this army, they managed to subdue Adana, but Adana lost control of her powers and set the town ablaze. The army escaped into the night as Adana focused on putting out the fire. Finally, her long-lost brother confronted her, and in a battle of wits and magic, Adana destroyed her brother. Knowing that her family was broken, Adana traveled to Ferelden to hone her magic powers. Ferelden, of course, is one of the settings in Dragon Age that we'll be starting with. Will GM for food. Hey, how's it going? You're just in time to hear me finish up with the backstory of my Dragon Age character, and that will do it for this playthrough of Call to Adventure. So now I've got a Dragon Age character all set to go. And we'll be hopefully getting that to the channel sometime next month. Before that, though, we've got a lot of stuff coming up. So tomorrow is going to be a very busy day on the channel. As first up, Mystical Munchies will finish out of the official Catan cookbook with the dessert, homemade fudge bricks. After that, we're going to have Conference Championship Saturday. First up on the Conference Championship Saturday in my 1972 replay of Momentum Football, we'll have the NFC Championship game, as we'll be at RFK Stadium for the Dallas Cowboys visiting the Washington Redskins. Then after the War Room, which is on Ruff's channel this week, Rough Swordsman Wargamer, by the way, after the War Room at 4 Eastern, 3 Central, we'll be back for the AFC Championship game, as we'll be at Ring Central Coliseum for that one, as the Oakland Raiders will be hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. Sunday we'll be playing some freeform Call of Cthulhu, continuing with our story of Nick Larson, and I'll provide a brief summary of that on Sunday. And then Wednesday next week, we'll be playing game number 9 on my TAC-UP Wargaming list as we play Tally Ho from Historic Wings. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.